Why are these governors across our country not stepping up and sending in the National Guard to help stop these crime waves that are going on in their cities? And I'm not just talking about Chicago or Los Angeles. I'm talking about some of these red states too. All these governors are sitting on their hands when they know darn well they can do exactly what Trump did in D.C. and activate the Guard, ask for federal law enforcement to stop these crime waves. I'm going to tell you why they're not doing it. The Rock, he looks real skinny right now. People are questioning on his health, but I think I have the answer to that. And $100 billion went poof at the end of the Biden administration, and nobody seems to know why. And the National Guard getting activated, it's not something we haven't seen before, and I'm going to discuss and tell you exactly why it should probably go on right now. And it's okay. So stick around. You just might learn something. Okay, we're going to talk about Chicago right now because it's in the headlines. You've got Governor Pritzker. I call him Slim Pritzker. He's going on news and he's going on talking to everybody he could talk to, trying to put his foot down with Donald Trump against sending in federal troops. And I think there's a reason why him and the Chicago mayor are going back and forth on this against Trump and pushing against Trump helping out these cities. Now, there's a lot of innuendos, a lot of speculation on why Chicago has these problems right now. And right now, the actual mayor of Chicago is doubling down and trying to go after Donald Trump and talk to him about why he thinks the federal government should step it up. So just check this out.
We have sued Glock over their semi-automatic guns that are easily converted into automatic weapons with switches. We have taken down gun stores in Indiana that illegally sell thousands of guns to traffickers who move them into Chicago.
He's actually trying to put the blame on Donald Trump and the federal government not stopping the gun violence. This guy is not coming up with any of this stuff. This guy is being told what to say, what to do. It's obvious. This guy's he's not a thinker. He doesn't look like a thinker to me. He looks like somebody who's been sat down and say, listen, here's some talking points. We need to go after Trump. We need to go after this administration, the federal government, because they're letting all these guns from these red states get poured into Chicago. Like it's the red states, like it's a law-abiding Americans in these red states that are gun-toting, free-loving Americans, Second Amendment-loving Americans that are sending their guns. I got news for you. We don't send our guns anywhere. We get our guns and we like to keep our guns. A lot of people like to put them in the basement and lock and key in a safe in some kind of like panic room, in a shelter somewhere, a doomsday shelter, if you will. So for the governor and the mayor to start making those accusations, they know better. They know better. And I know better. And everybody out there that's a free-loving Second Amendment person in America, they know better too. We're not getting these weapons and sending them off somewhere. No, we're not. They're getting bought by who? Criminals. That's who's buying that's who's buying these guns, guys. Criminals. It's not law-abiding citizens buying them and selling them on the streets. That's not who's doing it. So check out what he talks about now about the gun violence, and it's not going to stop. Chicago again.
Chicago will continue to have a violence problem as long as red states continue to have a gun problem. Shootings will continue as long as this presidential administration continues to put politics over people.
Now, they are doubling down, like I said, on trying to spin this a certain way. They're going after red states. They're talking about why isn't he going and targeting these red states? Well, here's the reason why. Chicago has the largest amount of gun violence in the entire country. They're numero uno. Now, you can break it down per state, and we're going to go over that as well. You can break it down per state, per capita of 100,000 people, and they're not even in the top 10. But Chicago, because of their size and their population, they are number one with gun violence. And Chicago has killings all the time. Every weekend is a holiday. There's always mass killings, numerous murders, numerous amount of people who get shot by drive-bys, numerous amount of people who get shot by being an innocent bystander, a stray bullet, if you would. And that's the problem. They're not fixing any of this in those cities. And the reason why is very clear. They don't want to. They don't want Donald Trump coming into these cities with federal agencies and shutting it down, just like they did in Washington, D.C. They proved that they can do it very quickly, very efficiently, and do it legally. Now, there's also a lot of talk about putting National Guard people on the troops. We're going to talk about that as well. Why is it such a big deal? It shows a sign of force. As a former National Guardsman, I don't have a problem with it. And a lot of guard guys don't have a problem with it. A lot of these dudes in the guard, E2s, E4s, E5s, they work like, maybe they work at a restaurant or something like that, washing dishes, doing so. There's a lot of guys that do that. Menial jobs. They're happy to be activated. They're getting activated. They're getting a nice little paycheck. They're getting some medical coverage. A lot of things happen to you on the positive side when you get activated on Title 32. And if you get Title 10, sure, those all work as well. So I think what they don't want Donald Trump to show that it's working. I mean, just what Governor Pritchard says, and he's in an interview walking along on the beach. Skinny Pritchard is what I call him. I'm sorry, Slim Pritchard is what I call him. Get it? Reverse nickname, Slim, meaning, he's on the larger side. Check out what he's talking about.
Look, big cities have crime. There's no doubt about it. But let's just pay attention to what President Trump is doing targeting Chicago. He's overlooking red states that have much higher crime rates.
So he's going after some of these red states, governors that are ran by Republican states. And I went over all that data last week. Yes, it is true. A lot of these cities, like Memphis, have a big amount of crime right there. But each one of these cities are ran by Democratic mayors. But why aren't the governors in those states doing anything about it? They've seen the pattern of Donald Trump. I ask all of these Republican governors, you should use Donald Trump's plan. Use his blueprint and start activating your guards and start sending them into these cities, ask for federal law enforcement and clean them up. But they won't do it. They can't do it because then it's a race thing. Then they're going after minorities because these minorities are in these major cities. Most of the people in the cities are minorities. And that's exactly what's going to happen. That's the Democrat playbook, guys. They're going to start screaming that. Why do you think the Republican governors haven't done that yet? They're probably waiting to do it, but they know what's going to happen. They're going to get these activists out there and they're going to be pissing, they're going to be moaning, they're going to be throwing stuff at the guard, they're going to be rioting. Of course, you can order all these people to do that. I mean, there are companies out there you can pay them to make people show up and protest in your cities. We've already talked about that as well. And that's a fact. There are agencies out there that will, crowds on demand, that will send people to your city and they will protest. That's why they're mostly all white. Most of the people that are in these organizations are all white in these major cities where there's more minority individuals, but all the protesters are white. Gee, I wonder where they got them from. They're not organic protests, but these governors know that's what's going to happen. So they're not going to do it. But the reason why he's doing it in these other cities is because he's going to show you that you can do it. And it's an election, right? We need to get the election won in 2026. This is all strategy, guys. I believe this is 100% a strategic move by Donald Trump. That's why he's targeting blue states, because he's going to show these cities and these governors and these people in these inner cities, hey guys, look what we can do for you. We can fix these problems very quickly. We only did it in 40 days in DC. Look how quick the parks are clean. All the homeless people that were living on tents in the park and on the sidewalk, they vanished like a fart in the wind. They're gone. Trump's talking about right now putting new sod into these parks. He's a king of grass, right? He knows all about grass because of golf courses. He knows more about grass than anybody. He's going to resod and put new sprinkler system in. Make that city beautiful. What's wrong with that? Kids can go there in the middle of the night and hang out and play some b-ball in the park. That's the whole idea, but that's why he's targeting Democrat cities. Because it looks really bad for them in election time. It looks really bad. If he can get to DC, clean it up, get the gun violence to almost nothing. If he did it for a week and got gun violence almost to nothing, the mayor would look like a fool. The governor would look like a fool. And they don't want that because they know they can clean it up. They absolutely know they can clean it up anytime they want, but they're not going to do that because they're not going to let Donald Trump show them that it can be done and show all the citizens that are sitting there dealing with this crime day in and day out that it can be done and fixed very quickly. They don't want that done. It's so obvious. They're doing everything they can to fight against getting help to clean up the crime in the city. Now, I get it. You've got cities that don't have this amount of crime, okay, right now in Chicago, per capita. Like the major cities that you got that have this kind of crime they're like 50-50. They're blue states, they're white, they're blue states, they're red states. They're kind of broken down evenly. So look at this chart. You got Jackson, Mississippi. They have 77.2 killings per 100,000. That's a Republican. Flint, Michigan, 70 per 100,000. That's a Democrat. St. Louis, 69, Republican. Baltimore, 58, Democrat. New Orleans, 51.8, Republican. Memphis, Tennessee, 48.7. It's a Republican. Detroit, Michigan, 47.9. It's a Democrat. Richmond, 35, Republican. Philadelphia, 35, Democrat. Rochester, New York, 35, a Democrat. So it's evenly split. You got 5 and 5. So it's really not a blue thing or a red thing. It's a crime thing. And these cities need to get under control, and they don't want to do it. So these governors that are in these states, they can make it happen. The red states are sitting back and watching this unfold because it's a strategic, political move. Now, I'm not big on that. I'm not big on the whole political move thing, but I really believe Donald Trump is doing that for these reasons. He's showing you that these major cities, and they're in the news, like Chicago is a major city people go visit. Is Memphis really in that category? Maybe it is now, okay? Maybe St. Louis is, but not like a Chicago or an LA or New York City. We know it's not at that level. So these are major cities that are always a political battleground. And Trump's trying to fix that. So the National Guard, should we send the Guard in or not? Well, here's a little statistic for you. Back in the day, during the whole pandemic situation that we had the National Guard activated in every single state in the country and all 4 districts. We had them in D.C., we had them in Guam, we had them in the Virgin Islands, and we had them in Puerto Rico. Every state had a National Guard activated during that time. What were they doing? They were checking vax passports. They were checking your IDs. They were maintaining order. They were handling vaccines places. They were monitoring facilities. They were helping with cleanup and waste management. But they were also doing security, guys. They were doing security. You remember seeing them all over the streets, on the corners, all over the country. They were everywhere. National Guard was active everywhere. LA, they had 8,000. New York City, they had 8,000 National Guard members. LA, California, they had 7,500 National Guard members activated. So if they can do it during that time, and they were actually policing individuals. I had somebody comment on one of my posts today saying, well, the National Guard doesn't know how to police. Yes, they do. As a former guardsman, yes, they do. They know how to police. We also have MPs. In Illinois, they have the 333rd MP company in Illinois. A company's got like 250, 300 soldiers. So I think the MP units know how to police. And National Guard soldiers, they may not be policing, but they certainly know how to apprehend somebody and detain them. We're trained in that. National Guard soldiers are trained. What do you think we freaking do on the weekends besides sitting around drinking beer? The National Guard practices riot control. They practice all of that stuff. We have flex cuffs during hurricanes. We always carried flex cuffs on us just in case we had to detain somebody. And then we'd radio in for the local law enforcement or the sheriff's department to come in there. So yeah, guy on my TikTok, the National Guard does know how to do policing. We have units that actually do that. We have all the MOSs, the active duty military does. It's just weekend warrior stuff. A lot of these guys are cops. I had a lot of my infantry soldiers. Most of these guys and these individuals doubled as police officers and deputy sheriffs. That's what people don't realize as well. A lot of these individuals that are in the National Guard are really law enforcement. So they know that as well. So I think putting them on the streets is not a bad thing. We had no problem doing it during COVID. Nobody had a problem with it. Everybody was okay with it, but yet they were checking your papers, right? Checking your passports for your vax stuff, checking your IDs, making sure you couldn't go in this building, making sure you couldn't go in that building. What are you doing here? You're not allowed to be on the street at this time of night. They were keeping everybody round up. To me, that was a police state. So what's up with these governors? They're like, okay, it's either was it a police state then for those 3 years that everybody was locked down and couldn't leave their house? Look at LA. LA was locked down forever. New York, you couldn't go to any restaurant, nothing. And National Guards were there. So was it a police state during that time, or they were just helping out? They were just doing medical services. And it's a police state now because they want to put them in these cities to help with the crime and the murder in these cities. So which is it, governors? People forget that. How quick we forget how bad the pandemic situation was. Short memories. I will never forget what these people did to us. I'm lucky I live in the free state of Florida. I had Governor DeSantis. I'm thank God I had him here. I thank God that he was our governor during all that time. It was like nothing happened here. People were traveling here in the droves coming to the free state of Florida because of Ron DeSantis. He wasn't blinded to all that propaganda and BS that was going on during the pandemic. We were able to do anything we want. There are some people that wore their mask, but you know what? We didn't have it mandated anywhere. Not that I can remember. Nowhere. We had people that would yell at you if you weren't wearing one. Yeah, you tell them, kiss my ass. I'll do what I want. I'm in a free state of Florida, baby. I used to do estimates on customers that were coming down, and they actually moved here because of the fact that they came here and stayed at an Airbnb for like 2 and 3 months, and they loved it so much down here that they're here now living permanently. I hear that over and over and over again. That's how awesome it was during the pandemic in the state of Florida. And we had National Guard activated here as well. So yeah, people forget how much they controlled everything we did, and they did it with the military guys. They did it with the National Guard soldiers all over. Just go Google some video footage and see how many soldiers were on the street in LA, New York, Chicago. They were everywhere. But it's not okay now to put them out, to put 800. They had 800 soldiers in DC. That's it. For like 30 days. You don't think that's not enough? Some of these had 10 times that, 100 times that. So which is it? I guess it's okay to do it during that, to lock everybody down because you wanted to keep all in check. But it's not okay to fight crime in your cities and to help deter crime. They're not breaking down doors. They're not tackling people. They're just standing there making it peaceful for everybody. And it worked in D.C. And if it worked in D.C., it's going to work everywhere else. And it worked rather quickly. And they're deathly afraid of that happening now because if it does, the jig is up for all of these cities. All of them. LA, with all the LA, San Francisco, with the people living on the streets, it's over for all of them. Those elected officials that are constantly getting elected year after year, they're done. And they know they're done because they're losing voters by the droves right now. We already talked about that. Democrat Party is hemorrhaging voters. The statistics are there and they know it's there. Anything else that they can fight with, they're going to do it. And you got these judges, activist judges that are trying to stop everything Donald Trump does. It's like, come on. Everything it does is horrible. Everything he's doing is against the law. I mean, we just won in a 6-3 ruling that the executive orders that he's doing are just fine. You got to, you can't challenge him by a lower federal district court. That already came out, but they're still doing it. He's going to North. They just came out, said that he can't do the tariffs. Do you know if we can't do the tariffs, what that's going to do to our economy? We're going to look like fools, number one, to all these other countries that he negotiated all of these deals. And then what's going to happen? India just came out with our tariffs saying that they're going to charge us 0 tariffs to put our products over there. 0 tariffs. That's a win, but yet you got some district federal judge telling you can't do that. What's wrong with these people? What's wrong with the Democrats? They know it's up. They know it's up. They know the jig is up. They have nothing. They have no answers. They have nobody in their political party that's helping them. They have nobody up there that can stand up there and take that reins and focus that Democrat Party in the right direction. Oh, no pun intended. In the direction they need to move to and get people that are going to vote for them. They're losing it because they're sticking to the far left. And it's just, it's blowing my mind why they continue to do this. It's the wrong path. Everybody knows it's the wrong path. The Republicans, the regular Democrats know it's the wrong path. That's where they're leaving the party. They're going with common sense. Now, the Republicans aren't perfect either, but they got to go with common sense. And that's what they're trying to do right now. Go with common sense. So we'll see what happens. But the Democrat governors, they know the jig is up. And if they don't fix it soon, they're going to realize Donald Trump's going to get in there. And sure, they may take them a few weeks to get the troops out of there. What are they going to do? What's the governor going to do if he federalizes the National Guard and he sends them in there? They're military leaders. They got to take orders. It's in their oath. So good luck with that. Good luck. And you can tell me, oh, well, he doesn't have to, the officers or the soldiers don't have to obey unlawful orders. Well, I got news for you. Activating you to help maintain crowd control and crime, yeah, it's a lawful order, okay? Charging a house with a bunch of children in it and taking them all out, that's an unlawful order. 2 completely different things. And trust me, I know, I was in it. So Secretary Chris Wright, who's in charge of the Department of Energy, he was on Maria Bartiromo, and he was talking about the Biden administration force-fed $100 billion in projects that just went poof. They went nowhere. Listen to this.
You've got all these projects which are, not necessarily projects that you can rely on. I mean, is the wind blowing? Is the sun shining? And yet hundreds of millions of dollars were going at these projects. Tell us more.
Yeah, Maria, no one would build energy projects like these without massive government subsidies, government mandates, government expedited permitting that allows you to go over everyone's objections. So, yeah, the big one at the Energy Department that we pulled back on was mutual with the utility developer as well. They knew there was no way the wind farm was actually going to be built. So why build a transmission line that half the time would just sit there doing nothing and the other half of the time would carry some variable amounts of power? They knew it was just a road to make their electricity prices more expensive. So we had a mutual parting of the ways. These are healthy dialogues about energy. We need to start thinking about Americans.
Can you believe it? All of these government fundings that went for bridges or whatever went nowhere. Why would they force feed all of those projects in the cover of darkness, pretty much, right before the Trump administration was about to take over the reins? And there's no evidence, there's no traction, there's no proof that any of this stuff went anywhere. Nothing's being constructed, nothing's being built. I'll say it once and I'll say it 100 times. This is purely my speculation, but if you look at it deep enough, 1 + 1 usually equals 2. These guys were force-feeding these contracts and getting these things put in money so they can all put money up into the washing machine and circle it down and put it back into their pockets. It's clear as day. And the money is stopped. The money has stopped. USAID is closed. All the propaganda machines are closed. They have no more funding available. So what are they going to do? You notice a lot of these NGOs that were funded by the Soros team, that stuff's drying up because he had NGO after NGO that he was putting in money, and then USAID was funding those stuff. And USAID was funding those things to tunes of tens and hundreds of millions of dollars. He was taking that money, circulating it back into riots, crowds, political unrest, protests across the country. They were all funded. They were pretty much funded by taxpayers' money. So all that stopped. So that's what they were doing. They were pushing that money out real quick so they can go into other people's pockets. Now they can't get rid. Why do you think they hate Donald Trump? Now, Donald Trump's not a perfect man. I don't think he's perfect at all. I think he has some issues as well. I don't agree with him 100%, but I agree with him about 94% of the time with what he's doing. I think he's doing a great job. I think he's really trying. I think he's really trying to make things good for everybody. But they stopped the hemorrhaging of our tax dollars. I mean, but right now, we're still giving $13 billion in aid. Why are we still giving $13 billion in aid? It was actually like 100-something billion. And then when USAID closed and all those funding things stopped, that water faucet just got turned off. But it's trickling to the tune of $13 billion in aid. We shouldn't be giving a freaking dime to anybody. No country should be getting aid from us. No country should be getting any benefits from us. Zero. Now we did the math. That $13 billion, you divide it by all the people here in the United States, it'll give each individual roughly $55. I will take the $55. Will you take the $55? I would rather get the $55 in my hands than send out the money to Africa or whatever country that we're giving aid to. I'm sorry. I don't think we need to send money anywhere until everybody in the United States has food at least once a day, if not at least twice a day, medical care, a job. The people with mental illness are getting the help that they need individually or by the government. That's not socialism. That's just caring for people. That's just putting Americans first. Veterans, getting them off the street, getting veterans the help that they need, making sure our veterans get all the care that they are qualified for, and then some. So why are we sending any money anywhere? We should shut it off immediately, but they won't shut it off. And then if they do shut it off, then all of a sudden they get a federal court to put an injunction in it and stop all that funding, which is insane to me. It's insane that we put that up, that if you ask every individual in America and you say, hey, what do you want with this money? And you ask them, you say, this is where it's going. Ask them. But that $2,000 that came out of your paycheck this month, we're going to send that to some foreign country. Do you want it sent or not? I will guarantee you they will all say, heck no, I don't want it going anywhere but back to my country, back into my pocket. I'd rather you not send it anywhere. It's not going anywhere. $13 billion is still going out of this country for foreign aid, and it needs to stop. I wish American people really took to heart what these politicians were doing for them, because they don't really have our best interests at heart. They just don't, guys. They don't. Some of them do. Some of them get in there and they say a lot of stuff, but they're not really voting for what you vote for. They don't. Because I haven't met anybody that I've ever talked to that said, you know what, yeah, I like sending my tax dollars to other countries. Not one person has said it to me. Not one. There are a lot of bleeding hearts out there, and sure. Are we a rich country? Well, we're a rich country. We have the best of everything. We're 36, almost $37 trillion in debt. And I hear people bitch to me about it all the time. Well, Trump added another $3.3 trillion in debt. But he just keeps adding more. He added a bunch in 2019. Of course, COVID was then. He had to do something. But yet, they don't mind sending this money somewhere else. And I think it needs to stop. Everybody in this country needs that money to stay here in the United States. Whatever it takes, it needs to stop sending weapons. Stop sending everything. If we told Ukraine, we're not sending you anything anymore. Figure it out. Hey, Ukraine, figure it out. Give Russia what they want, because you can't kick their ass. It's obvious you can't kick their ass without us funneling you weapons all day long and propping you up. You can't do it. You're holding them off. But if we stop it, what's Zelensky going to do? He's going to be like, oh, okay, all right. You can have this. You can have half of the country. That's fine. But we want to be able to go back and forth. We don't want a wall. Make some negotiations, but it's got to stop at some point. Israel, stop sending them freaking money. We're sending them billions of dollars. We're still sending money to the Taliban. Still sending money to the Taliban, to millions of dollars every week. There's a vote on it right now in Congress to try to stop sending the Taliban our money. So $100 billion, poof, out of thin air of the Biden administration, and the rest of the money is still funneling out. Wake up, America. It's going to keep happening until we actually put people in charge and represent us the way we want to be represented. It's just the way it's going to work. And The Rock is skinny, guys. Oh, my God. The Rock is skinny. Oh, say no more. I mean, a guy went from like 280, 260, whatever he is. He's probably, 235 pounds now, 240. He's lean. Everybody's like, oh, my, Batista, that guy. He lost all that weight, too. He carried all that muscle for years. He's thin. He's more petite. These guys are still 6'4". They're still monsters compared to me. They're monsters. The Rock is trying to reinvent himself, to try to get away from doing roles like super action hero type roles. He wants to get into that seriousness of his roles. Like Robin Williams became like more of a serious actor in other part of his career. Comedic at first, then got serious. And I think that's what The Rock wants. So, if you're a big muscle head, you're not going to get those roles. He's a good actor by, acting straights. He's a pretty good actor. And he gets roles that are tied to what he looks like. Big, bad, 6'4", 260, 75-pound guy. Probably way more than that at his peak. Now he's trimmed down, and all these people on social media are freaking out that The Rock is, oh my God, what's wrong with The Rock? He stopped doing steroids, guys. I mean, it's pretty obvious. Stop doing gear. Rock stopped doing gear, man. He's probably on testosterone, Sepionate right now, just kind of keep him leveled. But he stopped doing all the other shit he was probably putting in his body. Primo, Deca, all the other crap he was pumping in his body. Because look, he's my age. The Rock is 52 years old. Clearly is in phenomenal shape. You know what I'm saying? He's in better shape than when he was playing college football at the U. So yeah, The Rock is off the gear. I'm telling you, that's why. It's funny when you stop taking gear, how quickly you shrink. When you are, eating those types of calories, lifting that kind of weight. He probably just backed up his calorie intake. Who knows what he's saying? Probably taking in 6,000 calories a day, that dude. And he said, you know what? I want to be a real actor. I want to do some dramatic roles, maybe go on Broadway or some shit. Who knows? He's not sick. He's not dying. He doesn't have cancer. The guy's just wants to act in serious roles right now. And when you weigh 275 pounds and you're 6'4" with a body full of muscles, they're not going to put you on a, serious love story as an actor. It just doesn't look very good. I'm no Hollywood expert, but everybody that wants to start becoming more of a serious actor, they don't get big. Look at Chris Hemsworth. He's only big when he plays those roles for the Avengers. When he's not doing it, he's doing other types of roles. He's a regular sized guy. He's not all jacked. He's a tall dude in his own right, but he's not all jacked. And he gets some serious roles here and there. And that's just what The Rock wants. So guys, leave my boy The Rock alone, okay? Just stop doing gear. Not a real big deal. Anyway, that's it for today. Join me next time for a little chit chat, some observations, and some good old fashioned conversation. Thanks.